y'all, it's your girl Buttafly Jonez on this evening, March 14th, 2023. It is my 5-year store anniversary and it's my first official, YouTube video. So what I plan on doing today is talking about how I first got started with my brand. So ever since I can remember, I really loved selling stuff. Like when I was a little girl, I would go to thrift stores and I would go to flea markets with my granddaddy, and where I would find things around the house, and I just loved to sell it. I don't care if it was a rock, I'm gonna sell it for 50 cents, you know? And so from a very young age, I really loved to sell. I went into retail when I was in high school. I used to love to sell perfumes and creams and stuff. They weren't mine, but I loved to make people smell good and suggest different fragrances for them. But retail never made a lot of money, so I didn't want to pursue that as my dream. I went to college. I worked towards my bachelor's in psychology and my master's in sociology, and I became a children's social worker, and I just was unhappy. I started skincare because I would go to a very, very popular skincare place that you can find in almost any indoor mall and any strip mall. And I could have owned stock. I was buying every set. I was buying the lotions, the washes, the sprays, the everything. I could have owned stock in that company. And it started to tear up my skin. I can't explain it, and I was never diagnosed with anything, but my skin would peel off of my body. So I said, you know what, there has to be something different for me. I love the way this smells. I actually like the way it feels, but I didn't like what it was doing to my body. So I went to farmers markets and I said, you know what, I'm gonna try to find a natural alternative. So I would go to farmers markets and I would try something else. I said, you know what, this is nice, but if I were to do it, I would do that. I would put this smell in it. Or if I were to go to another farmer's market or another show, a craft show, I would get one and I'd say, yeah, this is good, but I think I would do this or use this ingredient. And so I just said, you know what, why not make my own? So while I was in my master's degree program, I was making my very first item, which was body butter. And that was all the way back in 2006. So I'd get some ingredients that I really loved and I know that my community loved. And it was like shea butter, and I would use olive oil, and I would use aloe vera in some cases. And I really didn't know what I was doing, but I practiced and I practiced and I practiced until I got a really good product. And I remember like people were like, oh my gosh, do you have it in this fragrance? And I'm like, yep. And then I go get that fragrance and I make it. I didn't really have it first. I just maybe had mango. I think mango was my very first fragrance. And so it's, oh, like, do you have cranberry? And then I'm like, okay. And then I go try to find cranberry fragrance oil on the internet, and then I make cranberry. And so it got to the point where I was getting all these orders, and I would sell like $5 body butter, and it was like 4-ounce jars. So I'm like, oh, this is good. I'm making a little extra money and stuff. And people were asking for catalogs, and people were saying, oh, do you make scrubs? And I'm all like, uh-huh. And then I figure out how to make scrubs. Or do you make body wash? I'm like, no, not yet, because that's a whole nother beast, is body wash. But, I would, do you make, what's another one that I started off with? Perfumes, roll-on perfume oils. I started making roll-on perfume oils. And I said, you know what? I can't carry around these pieces of paper taking people's orders. I mean, I could, but I want to be professional, So I made a website. I had one already. I used to do poetry, and my poetry name was Buttafly Jonez. Okay. So I converted my poetry website into my skincare website. But at one point, I had both of them at the same time. And I stopped doing poetry just because when I became a social worker, it just seemed like everything that I was experiencing being a social worker was getting transferred into my poetry. And I just needed a stress relief, and poetry just wasn't it anymore. So, me mixing and churning and not thinking about words to say because they were going in court reports and stuff like that was very therapeutic to me. So, I had to let go of the poetry, and I sold my first items on my website. Just took off poetry, added on skincare, and that's how my business name and my skincare line name became Buttafly Jonez. So I hope you enjoyed this tidbit of my business life as Buttafly Jonez and learning a little bit about my past and how I got into business. That's how I started online. And tune in for another video very soon. Have a blessed day. And I just wanted to share my mother's earrings. She makes these handcrafted earrings. That's Frida Kahlo. And if you like what you see, you can buy these earrings at www.buttaflyjonez.com. And the link is in the description. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll talk to you later.